my journey for the preparation of the civil services was a mix of lot of ups and downs. I think my own perception is this, that we should not lose hope when we fall, and we should not become arrogant when we succeed. And we as instruments of state must be just and fair to people. We must serve the people. We must never think that we are here to rule. We are here to serve. One thing that I love about my profession the most is the capability and the power to wipe out tears, to bring the smile back, and give people a sense of contentment that justice will be done. ये है दौरे हवस, लेकिन ऐसा भी क्या, आदमी कम से कम आदमी तो रहे.
I am your host Gaurav Garg, and we welcome all our viewers to our show Amazing Mentor. Today with us is Kaisar Khalid. He is an officer of the Indian Police Service, serving as the Commissioner of Police Railways, Mumbai. He is 1997 batch IPS officer having wide experience in law and order management, crime control, anti-insurgency operations, mega city policing, traffic management, human resource management, etc. He is a noted public speaker and has taken many sessions on motivation, career counseling, security, public work, etc. He is also a poet of Urdu and Hindi languages. His first anthology titled Sware Asar was published in 2014 and led to Khalid being awarded the Maharashtra State Urdu Sahitya Academy Award in 2015. It's a pleasure to welcome Mr. Kaisar Khalid to our show Amazing Mentor. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you.
So tell us about your childhood and hobbies you enjoyed as a child.
Well, everybody loves his childhood. In my case, see, we are from rural area and from an agrarian society where there was no specific emphasis on children. There used to be a kind of group of children. Sometimes we call it as a herd. Some basic mentoring or some basic guidance was available. You are supposed to go to school. What I mean to say is that the kind of emphasis we put on children now, the value that we place on their education, the value we place on their guidance, the value that we place on their activities. All the mothers and fathers or the parents are busy, sometimes taking children to one activity to other activity, and they list out things. Music जाना है, तो जी swimming जाना है, तो ये sports में जाना है. We had nothing like that. हमारा तक स्कूल जाना है, स्कूल से आ जाना है, और स्कूल से आने के बाद जो टाइम मिलेगा वो खेत पे चला जाना है, कुछ ना कुछ खेती काम चल रहा है. It was like this, but that was a society. I mean, I don't have any complaints. So we were brought up in an environment where there was no premium placed on children. You understand? There was no premium, but it taught us a lot of things. One is that in an agrarian society, there's a lot of interdependence of people. And this interdependence is across caste and religion. So it was a very egalitarian society without much consciousness about caste or religion. So we learned the value of unity and diversity, I should say, because when I used to go to my field, on the way, there were huts or villages of people who were making agriculture equipments, kumhar we produce. So sometimes we used to go and sit there, drink water, which is a winter month, then that bhatti ka aag. So you go and just have some warmth. And they were so friendly. They taught us the value of humanism. I mean, we don't need to read a lot of literature to understand that thing. The affection that they gave to us, because they were senior in age. So they were very affectionate. They used to treat us with a lot of kindness, with a lot of humility. That taught us the value of kindness and humility. We had no feeling of religion, I should say. Of course, we did not have those facilities because I was from a rural area. Sports were simply non-existent because that cost money, and we hardly had any pocket money. So at most we had some football or something. Cricket was a pretty costly game. Once we tried to get all the kit at that point of time, I remember it was around 3,000 odd rupees. This I'm talking of 80s. So not a very welcome thing. And then in village, the problem is that you don't get 22 people here. I mean, everybody is busy in their own things, activities. We come back and then we look after the homework, some agriculture related activities. Sometimes you have to go and do something. Sometimes some guest would come and all those things. So rural life was a very different kind of life. In the hindsight, I can see that we missed many things, but we also get a lot of exposure and a lot of value shaping. And that was the thing. Of course, we had a lot of shortcomings. We hardly had these kind of things, or libraries, or sports, or the kind of exposure that other convent people have. Some time back, when I was preparing for civil services in Delhi, so we had some colleagues who were educated in very posh schools. So once we were discussing and comparing our schools, a girl said, "You're from a Tatpatti school." I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am from Tatpatti school, but that school has given me that foundation that I'm sitting here. So I will never forget those people, those mentors, those guides, within their limitations, they taught us a lot of things. So all in all, kind of tic-tac childhood.
So what about the hobbies you enjoyed as a child? Were you able to practice any hobbies in village?
Hobby was a costly proposition. As I told you, once we tried to get a cricket kit, and it was difficult because I should say the monetization in the economy was very low. I mean, we had fields, but we hardly have monetization, and there was no concept of a pocket money. Also, then you learn things like swimming in a river. A lot of fearlessness comes out of that because then the river is moving, and there will be some ditch here and there. I used to listen to radio, a lot of things, BBC or Radio Germany, Voice of America, sometimes Radio Ceylon. That Binaka Gitmala. That was one of my favorites. And then Radio Nepal also, because we are bordering Nepal. So around 3:45 odd in the afternoon, they used to broadcast Hindi films, songs, that kind of thing. So a lot of languages were there, a lot of other things. So my hobby at that point in time was more understanding the world, learning about them, because village setup, you hardly had any exposure to outside world. And then I remember we used to get some magazines from Soviet Union also. Then I was very fond of reading. So I used to read a lot, whatever magazine or novel or newspaper came. So in a sense, that gave me an exposure to imagination. I used to read a lot of novels. So novel would also shape your imagination. And that became my hobby, that I used to think of something and I tried to speak on that. From there, I went to debating, because from this thing, one thing led to the other. So my hobby essentially was reading at that point of time, acquiring as much knowledge as possible. I was very, very passionate about reading. In fact, I used to read course books also.
So what about the schooling, sir? Where did you completed your schooling from?
And that's also interesting. I was educated in a school which was essentially sanctioned for girls. There was girls' middle school where I was admitted, but they were taking boys also. So it was in my Nanihal. When I was 5, I was packed away by my mother to my Nanihal because that had a better school. I went to that school from 1 to 7th. There was a village called Bilwa in district called Araria. Up to 7th, I studied there. 8th, 9th and 10th, I was in Azad Academy, which is in Araria. And then I was admitted in Science College, Patna. It was the foremost college in Bihar. Staying in the hostel gave me a lot of exposure to very good people. And the techniques and styles of study, how people prepare for different competitive exams. So in that hostel, I learned a lot of things. And generally, I used to think of the people, and in fact, I used to see what good things they have. You see, what happened? I was a topper. I had maximum marks in that hostel. But I realized that many people are not even speaking to me. So I used to reflect कि यार मैं तो लालटेन जला के पढ़ के आया हूँ, तब भी इससे ज़्यादा नंबर लाया हूँ. So what is it? There's a song, I think pictures on Palasani. कि हम में है क्या कि हमें कोई हसीना चाहे. So it's like this. What is it? Why these people are smarter, Then I said कि भाई ऐसे काम नहीं चलेगा, जरा अपने को मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी. So that made my task doubly difficult. And what happened that in Science College, Patna, and especially in the hostel, the seniors who guided us, they said कि बेटा लाइफ में आगे बढ़ने का एक ही तरीका है कि +2 में तुम ग्रेजुएशन किताब पढ़ो और ग्रेजुएशन में पीजी किताब पढ़ो. So that Science College stay of 2 years taught me a lot of things, and it made me work harder. It made me realize my shortcomings. It made me realize my weaknesses. It made me realize my strong points also. And it made me realize how to overcome those shortcomings and what is the journey ahead, what is the route ahead. So they shaped us up. In fact, not only me, but I think all of us who were there. But I was more in need because I was from a very rural area and I was hardly exposed to that kind of life and culture. But I opted for geography, which is an equally difficult subject. And it is kind of semi-science at places it is treated as a science. So that was not an easy thing to do. And what happened? It exposes you to a lot of different things. As a student, you come to Science College Patna, you choose one stream, either biology or maths. You are taken, admitted, welcome, because everybody is swimming the same way. When you go to humanities college, you are an outsider. There are people there who have already done their +2 with humanities. Now, if you come and perform better than them, because if you study science, this is my perception, you come with a very rational kind of brain and you try to apply that rationality into humanities, which at times is very dangerous. Then first time I realized what enmity is, what jealousy is, and how people scheme and how they try to put you down and how they try to make groups, and we were exposed to all those kind of things, and we learned a lot of life lessons there. But college, and especially those turbulent years, difficult era, that also makes you and prepares you for more and more complicated challenges in life. So that is my college.
So how was you as a child? Were you introvert or extrovert child?
I was not an introvert child. Introvert in the sense कि नहीं जमेगा तो मैं चुपचाप रहूँगा. But जमेगा तो then I am very बातूनी kind of person. I would speak, I would interact, and I would love to listen and speak and all that. So it depended on the person. If I thought the person is wasting my time, I would switch off. But I thought the person is interesting and it would be a good company to keep, then I would definitely share a lot of things. So, but while I थोड़ा सा खड़ूस तो था मैं, मतलब लोग कहते हैं, I mean nobody criticizes himself that way, but at that point of time as a student I thought all the time that कि I have to make my career first, and अगर वो हो गया तो बाकी चीज़ों के लिए बहुत वक्त मिलेगा, लेकिन बाकियों में वक्त अभी लगा दिया तो शायद I will not be able to shape up my career. So in a way, I was a little reserved. I would generally seek a company which is better than my own to learn something from them and to get exposed to better ideas in life. You know, there are different kind of students actually. There are certain students who just go there, okay, they have a good time for 7, 8, 10 years and then come back. Don't do anything. I was never interested in that company. I was always interested in the company of sincere people, hardworking people, despite their social positioning. I mean, there will be poorer people, there will be richer people. I'd be inclined more to a better student, a student who would slog out, a student who would try to understand, a student who would try to discuss things. And also in the college, I picked up a good habit of exercising. So every morning or afternoon, evening, I would go on the field, run or walk, do some exercise or play something. That thing started building my health. So I would say, dependent on the person. I would be introvert for the people whom I thought are wasting my time, but I would be a very lovely participant in any debate or discussion where I thought there was something stimulating.
So what was your dream profession? कई बार ऐसा देखा गया ना कि जब बच्चा बड़ा होता है तो हर स्टेज पे उसका जो ड्रीम प्रोफेशन होता है वो चेंज होते रहता है. तो आपके ड्रीम प्रोफेशन में क्या क्या चेंजेस हुए?
The civil services I thought as my ultimate destination long back. When I think I was in class 4th, one IAS officer visited our school. As I've explained already, that my school was a third-party school. So what happened? We had a big mango tree in front of our school. Table and chairs were placed there, and we all sat in the shadow of that mango tree. And this gentleman who SDM there, he came. He kind of took a session of students. So for the first time in my life, I saw an IAS officer. And the kind of authority he commanded, the kind of respect he commanded, and the kind of knowledge he had, the way he spoke, his sincerity, and everything. Then I thought, look, this is the profession for me, this is the career for me. So for the rest of my life, I was more focused on how to reach to that destination.
So how difficult or how easy was your journey to become an IPS officer?
A lot of ups and downs, because there was nobody to guide us. There was no mentor. There was nobody to teach, tell what to do, what not to do. My relatives were either doctor or engineer, so they hardly had any exposure to this thing. And we used to hold civil service officer or civil servant in a lot of awe and respect. But that awe and respect never led us to meet one, except that one encounter, a brief encounter when I was in class 4. And if you go in Bihar, they will have big kothis, big bungalows where their boats will be displayed. There will be some guard there with a big gun, and then he'll be moving to this side to that side. So student people like us used to get scared actually. We never ventured into those kothis and bungalows. But as I came to college and I saw that my college seniors did very well in civil services. In fact, in 1987, when I went to Science College Patna, Amir Subhani Saab, he topped the UPSC exam. The second year, I think it was Prashant. I think he was also a Science College Patna student. A lot of our alumni was doing very well. So then that gave us actually the route and showed us that yes, it is possible. And all these people, they were from humble backgrounds, not great backgrounds or very rich people. They all could do that because of their hard work. Then when I went to Patna College, a lot of seniors came who had already qualified. We had a chance to interact with them. And then we realized that they are low, normal people like us only. And if they can do, we can also make it. And then when I went to Delhi, Hamdard Study Circle, then I was actually living in the midst of people who had already qualified civil services. They were playing with us, they were discussing with us, debating with us, eating with us, going out with us. So we realized, look, if these people can do, I can also. And I understand this thing that everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. So you need not necessarily imitate them, but you have to see their efforts in your own perspective. I mean, my strong area may be their weak area. So they may be focusing more on that area, but what I need to have. So the approach, the attitude, the way answers are written, the way study should be done, and how you reach to the base, and how you divide the question in different segments, and how actually you interrelate the things. We learned a lot by interacting with these people. So that taught us a lot of things and good things in life. So all in all, journey was that we sought our own mentor and leader and guide. We used to look at them, we used to ask them, question them, and then we used to get a lot of motivation and encouragement. And the good thing is that all these people whom we interacted never discouraged us. That was a very good thing that I think was helping us to aim higher. And then that made us realize that if these people can do, we can also. So in a way, it was a difficult journey, but it was worth, because that not only led us to this place, but also taught us a lot of life lessons. And those life lessons come in handy when we discharge our responsibilities in the field. And after 25 years of service, I can confidently say this thing, that none of the lessons learned in that process has gone waste. It has come in handy at some point of time.
So what about the challenges? What all challenges did you face while preparing for your civil services?
Challenges were many. There is a general tradition and trend that you must seek some coaching institute. Let me start my challenges from beginning. What happened then when I decided to choose geography, what to study in geography? So the trend that was emerging was that many people were reading notes. But I decided to read all the base books. So base book would mean some foreign publishing houses book. So these foreign books are pretty costly actually. So all my scholarship money went in purchasing these books only. And at that point of time, the Indian editions were not easily available. In fact, they were not available in many things. And geography is one subject where you need a lot of maps and colored maps. Naturally, glazed paper color maps, they raise the cost of the book. So for $20-$30, it's difficult. And as a student, we didn't have that much money actually. So what I did is that travel Ashok Rajput, you will get a lot of second-hand books, which people will be selling. Every city has this kind of things. So I used to go and search there. Is there any book which is relevant? It may not directly be related to my course, but is it a book on geography or any branch of geography, be it oceanography, be it human geography, be it climatology, be it geomorphology, anything. So I used to purchase those books. They were old books also. Sometimes data was very old and all that. But the things that they taught, the concepts and the relationship of things, that was unmistakable. I mean, that created my foundation base. So what happens that when you prepare, that preparation requires a lot of hard work. And I was a science student. I had no background in geography. So I had to read everything afresh. Then I opted for public administration as my second paper. I remember that point of time, there used to be 2 optionals. Then after one attempt, I changed it to Urdu language and literature. People suggested me, okay, you are good in that, so you have that as an optional or second option. When I was giving the first attempt, then I thought, ye humko sikhayenge, hum itna padh ke aaye hain. I had also studied Persian, but I didn't like that subject much because I never wanted to memorize things. I wanted to understand the things, understand the process, and then write something in my own style and manner. But then after writing my first mails, I realized that this suggestion was correct because it is not only about paper, but it is also about the amount of time that you have at your disposal and how better you can prepare a subject. So I realized that language and literature would be prepared in a better fashion in that given amount of time compared to any other subject by me. So I opted for Urdu language and literature as my second option. Geography continued to be my first option. Then GS, of course, is a difficult thing. So I had GS preparation and learned. See, in Hamdard Study Circle at that point of time in Delhi, the pattern was that after prelims exam, they used to close the hostel for almost 2 months. So everybody has to vacate. The mess used to be closed. So I went back to my village. Now, if between prelims and mains, you waste 2 months, it is nothing but a suicide. But I had no other option. I went back. Then when I came back, then I realized what a mistake I made. So rather than cribbing on that and wailing and whining, in the second attempt, I simply told one of my friends who was living in a hostel that I'm coming to stay with you till my hostel opens up again. So for a month or two, I stayed with him and continued my preparation. So I learned. Had that been pointed out by somebody, I wouldn't have gone back to my village and would have continued to prepare in Delhi itself. So learn from my mistakes. Sometimes they're costly. So when I say that my journey for the preparation of the civil services was a mix of lot of ups and downs, rise and fall. But after every fall, I rose up. And my determination became more strong, rather it became stronger. And I learned from my mistakes and vowed never to repeat it. So in a way, that is the journey to improvement also. So in the second attempt, I qualified.
So what was the reaction of your parents when you told them, okay, I have been selected as an IPS officer?
We had no telephone at that point of time at my residence. So I had to convey it via somebody who had a telephone. Father ko bata dijiyega ki aisa ho gaya hai. And then I came back home. So that was kind of hero's welcome back home. And they took out a procession from the market and in the town, and it was like that. I think my own perception is this, that we should not lose hope when we fall, and we should not become arrogant when we succeed. I always kept myself very grounded, even though there was a rousing welcome. I can narrate you that my father was a school teacher and they used to sit together. So after my qualifying, then a special chair used to be brought for my father, HP Saab ke father, unke liye mera uncha karke rakho. So I could hardly enjoy those things because I went back for training to Mussoorie and I could see that change in perception. So, of course, my mother, who had slogged out so much for me to succeed and from whom I learned a lot of life lessons, she was happy. So I was contented that I had been able to do something which has made them happy and contented and grateful to the Creator.
So how was your early days as an IPS officer?
My early days as an officer, I was allocated a cadre which is Maharashtra. Now, first and foremost things after coming to this state is to be acquainted with local culture and local food. Local culture is easy to understand, but local food is difficult to digest in the initial days. And here what happens, if you see Maharashtrian food, there's a lot of oil, apparently. Though they use less amount of it, but the way they cook, the oil is on the top. So when I used to look at that, I used to think how many months or days I'll survive with this food. So for 3-4 months till I got married and my wife came and she saved me, I used to eat roti and dahi and dal. That is all. So difficult. We didn't have a house initially, staying in a PWD guest house and then not having a vehicle and all those things were there. But I must confess that this state has been very welcoming. The people have been very, very nice and they helped, they're cooperative, they taught us. And they chipped in wherever we faced difficulties and they treated us as their own. We got a lot of love and affection. So while it was difficult to adjust to one Buddhism, learn the local language, adjust to the food, to the temperature and climate here, because the summers are very harsh. And then all of duty is such that there is no schedule of timing. It can happen at any point of time. Some crime may take place and then you have to visit maybe late night, early morning, or any time you take. And then this is one department where there is a tradition that in front of officers, especially at the junior level, there would be a board. And that board will be called crime board. So it starts with murder, aim to murder, dacoity, robbery, rape, theft, this and that. Every morning I used to come and look at that. A lot of negativity. And then I said, please move this board in front of me and give me a chit from where I can refer to, but I don't want to see this board every time I come to my office. It was difficult times, and then we were not exposed to the culture of IPS per se, and we were trained by a director who had spent a lot of time in research analysis wing. So he was very human kind of thing. So he reduced regimentation. So we were kind of freely exchanging our ideas, dissenting with even superior officers, seniors, wherever we thought point is not as per my understanding, or I have a different viewpoint. But when you come to state, policing was kind of a straight-jacketed kind of thing, and we were used to freedom. Our batch faced a lot of difficulties vis-a-vis superior officers, their trainers, and their bosses. Now, when I look back, last 25 years, I think we have performed much better than many other officers who were otherwise very good at making tea and serving liquor and this and that. We didn't have those social skills. I said, यार तुम खाना तुम खा लो ना, तुमको बनाना तुम बना लो, तुम मेरे को क्यों मजदूरी करवा रहे हो? But now that we have become fairly senior, then we have realized, and that has been our practice, that we will treat everybody with a lot of courtesy, with a lot of humanism. He may be a junior, he may be having less experience, less age, maybe at a lower level, but then nothing should come in the way of treating him with kindness, gently, and with respect. And I must respect his difference of opinion. I must respect his way of life. If he's not willing to do something and which is not departmentally ordained, I must not force him. So that is what we have practiced. So, but initially 5 years or 6 years were quite difficult. And then I was deputed for anti-Naxal operations. So year and a half, I was in kind of semi-jungle area. I mean, my house is constructed by us. I used to go out on patrols and this and that, and my wife used to supervise the labor and all that. So we constructed the house where the additional SP Aheri in Gadcholi district still lives. So it was a difficult time, and then in Naxal area, there's no certainty of your life. I mean, you can have encountered at any point of time. There could be bomb blast, there could be something. And I was an officer who never believed in working from the office. I used to go to my posts. I used to meet my constables. I used to meet my men. I used to spend time with them. I used to stay there at night so that they feel motivated. They feel that sir is also exposed to the same kind of danger that we are exposed to. And in those areas, if you move without security clearance, then you have to take a lot of precautions. Sometimes 3, 4, 5 kilometers you have to move on foot when there are hills, when there are valleys, when there is an doubtful place. So it was a very different kind of exposure that we had. We have seen encounters, we have seen ambushes, we have seen death, we have seen difficult times. But that made my resolve to serve people, to serve the country, to serve the society even stronger. And I learned that thing, that the rule of law must prevail at all costs. There can be difference of opinion, but yes, that difference has to resolve peacefully, democratically. And we as instruments of state must be just and fair to people. We must serve the people. We must never think that we are here to rule. We are here to serve. And that particular thought process led me to interaction with the people, which I still have today, and helping them out, telling them how their problem will be solved. And that is how I could make a reputation. But policing has taught me a lot of different things. It has taught me empathy. It has taught me to look at solutions and not look at the problem, and to console people, to restore their hope in a system, in law. All in all, I think I've enjoyed it, and I've learned a lot of things from this.
So during your course of journey as an IPS officer, what all departments have you handled?
As I told you, I've done crime and law and order policing, which is a general, which is all the officers are expected to do. And then I worked in anti-Naxal operations. I worked in armed battalion, where I've raised a new battalion, trained them. So that is under a job. I worked in Mumbai city for a long time. I worked in railway police. I worked for coastal security. I worked for slum policing. I managed traffic of Mumbai city. I have handled a department where we had 14,000 constables. This is called LA. I've headed a corporation for some time. I worked as state head for crime against weaker sections, women and children. I am now working as commissioner of police. So a lot of different exposures, a lot of different, if you say, look in the corporate angles. So what I say, crime management or crime control and detection and investigation. I've done law and order policing. I've done traffic management. I've done HR management. I have commanded battalions. I've represented the state in different things. So all in all, various kind of exposures. Every place, what I think what is of prime concern is that service to people. Because our main focus is on people. They are our customers. They are the people for whom we exist. So that should never happen, or it should never happen that We exist within the four walls, and we exist for our files, and we exist for just a clerical, what clerks bring for us. We are here for people. We must meet people. We must solve their problems. We must guide them, and we must tell them what to do if they are in a problem which is not directly related to policing, but to revenue department and to other departments. And during the COVID times, we organized food distribution for 30,000 people every day for almost 2 months. A lot of corporates helped in that, a lot of NGOs helped in that. So I think it was the reputation that we could build over a period of time, which helped us to garner resources, to marshal resources, and to bring or set up a distribution system where we could get this much food packet and to distribute it among people. And in addition to that, a lot of other activities. I have been counseling students, guiding them for their career. I have also been a writer and a poet. When you were introducing, I've been awarded Sahitya Academy by the state. So 2 books on poetry. I'm working on my 2 other books. Writing, creativity on one side, public service on the other side, going back to the society and giving back something to the society, guiding people, and how not to go on a wrong path, how not to choose a wrong path. So that has been my concern, and I've been trying to do as much as possible. So that has been the purpose for which I'm working.
So what are your day-to-day challenges which you face on daily basis?
Challenges come from many quarters, many ways. Challenges, one of course, is that whatever responsibility you have been given by the government, you must discharge them efficiently. And in such a fashion that people should realize that yes, this person could do his best. Like I have headed a department which is crime against the weaker sections for almost 4.5 years in the Maharashtra Police Headquarters. Now that was one department which was not very sought after department by many people. They thought it is waste of time. And what to do there? We have to revive a lot of things here. We could organize training, we could organize seminars, we could take review meetings of almost all the districts and see what is the status of cases. We could exercise all the powers given by law. We could ensure that justice and fairness must prevail. We could ensure that the weaker sections must get a priority treatment. We ensure that whatever compensation government gives to them must reach to them on priority. So there was a lot of backlog. There were cases pending in court for 14 years, 15 years. So we would try to minimize them and ensure that this department is counted for. And I'm happy to share this, that when the National Commissioner for the Scheduled Castes took the review of the entire Maharashtra state functioning last year, they praised us. They praised our work. They praised Maharashtra Police. So that does not come in a day. We had to create a group, a team, and we had to ensure that wherever we find that justice is not being done, we have to call that investigating officer, scrutinize all the investigation papers, give him necessary directions, and in case he was doing something here and there, then we have to say, look, these are legal powers that we have, and we'll be happy to exercise them even against you. We find something different here and there. So in a way, a department which was more sleeping, we could revive that and we could make it run, and we could create a benchmark for others to follow. And if you visit Maharashtra State Police Headquarters and ask any officer, then he will tell कि नहीं उसने तो बहुत मेहनत की. So it's like that. Whatever opportunity you get, I'm to now handling the charge of Commissioner of Police for Railways. So I'm concerned about crime in railways. I'm concerned about safety of women in railways. I'm concerned about crowd management there. I'm concerned about terror threat that we so often get there. And we have a history, 26 blast and 26/11 attack. So every responsibility. And I've worked in Mumbai city for a long time. I've looked after their coastal security also. I've looked after the biggest region here, the East region, which has a lot of slums, which has a lot of caste conflict, a lot of communal conflict. A lot of underworld element presence. Till late, I think I had been the office. I'm the officer who has served there for the longest continuous period of time. So by grace of God, wherever you're posted, my only concern is this, that I must leave a better legacy than what I got.